You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks for making us your first listen. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you as we're getting ready for a 4th of July holiday. Hopefully you've all got fun and safe plans, responsible plans made out for the upcoming day and weekend. If you're getting a long weekend, good on you. Hope you enjoy that. But today, with the theme of combustion in mind, Chris, we wanted to touch on a Texas Tech all-explosive team of sorts. We talked about this around this time last year, and I was actually going back and looking at our list, and I'm kind of wondering if this time around, and sort of hoping, it's a little more crowded, to be honest with you, that you have actually added some explosiveness to your roster, maybe on both sides of the ball that you didn't have a year ago.
Yeah, and again, tomorrow, folks, just be smart out there. Stay away from any sort of competitive eating contest, or even viewing it. It's disgusting. And enjoy what's been provided. Don't try to eat as much of whatever you can, like the hot dog thing. Do better than apple pie. I know apple pie is like American and that's July 4th and all that, but there's so many desserts that rank higher on the pecking order than good old American apple pie, right? Banana pudding, peach cobbler, strawberry shortcake. There's a gazillion of them. Do better. As far as explosiveness, this is, Wait.
I just got to remain quiet during this apple pie portion of the program, of which I'm not.
You're an apple pie guy?
I've probably eaten less than 5 slices of apple pie my entire life, but I also never met George Washington, is not going to let you kick dirt on his grave without saying something. Okay, so now I've said what I got to say. That's all I wanted to say.
The cooked apple is very tricky. That it's not everybody's cup of tea. It's kind of different. The cooked apple. I get it if that's your thing. I just think there's a lot. We just gonna hate the peach and the banana and all the other things. But yeah, I get it. Shout out to George on July 4th Eve here.
I mean, that's American right there, allowing a man to like what he likes and dislike what he dislikes. So we're being patriotic just doing that.
Absolutely.
Okay, continue, please. I'm sorry. I do.
And you know what? We'll get more comments on the apple pie take here than we will
Probably.
Get on the list that we're going to get into. That's the beauty of kind of the platform here and what we do.
It's probably made a lot of listeners and viewers furious over this. So
I know. That's right. Yeah, and again, hot dog. Go with a burger, go with some barbecue, go with steak or something. I just think we can do a lot better than the hot dog. And if you do the hot dog, it's got to have chili and cheese on it. Okay.
Well, you mentioned the speed eating portion of the hot dog. That's a different kind of category, especially. Yeah, I'm not subscribing to that.
And you
watching or participating.
You soak it in the water and it's just gross to me. I can't do it. Mustard belt or not, whatever they give away. Okay, so I do think this is a more extensive list. This is eye of the beholder kind of list. I've kind of vetted this list a bit and kind of tried to put it together with various conversations over the last really 3 to 5 months. And I'm going to say explosive. That's going to mean your quick twitch, your just pure speed, your ability to make a play, to kind of make you go wow a bit. And depending on the position that these guys play, that can mean a variety of different things. I did get caught up into probably too many receivers on this list, which I think is a positive. However, I just think that's the way it falls. Like, I don't think you have – again, it depends on how you want to define it. I think Taj Brooks could be termed as explosive in a phone booth. Like, he can explode through, but he's not going to just he's going to run over. He's going to be a bowling ball more than he is going to be like a firecracker, if that makes sense. Okay, so
yeah, he's like a bunker buster explosion instead of like an intercontinental ballistic missile.
Yeah, and I think I want to say I think last year we maybe had Cameron Valdez on this list.
I think so.
I'm not going to put him on this year. I still think there's some possibilities for him. Bottom line is I don't know if I have a running back included on kind of what we'll talk about here, and that's okay. I think Cam Dickey and Cameron Valdez, they've got, and certainly Taj for different reasons. But this is more of a wow, a run away from you, a change of direction. Just, and I'll back this up with some of the track times. Some of these players we'll get into here, most fans it's not, walking around knowledge or everyday, awareness yet, just because they haven't cracked the depth chart or they haven't really played much. But again, vetted this list, and I feel pretty good about it. I think I'll start with Caleb Douglas, who I think that we have talked about some. However, I think kind of like the slept on list that we did a couple of weeks ago, Josh Kelly gets a lot of pub. Micah Hudson gets a lot of pub, and deservedly so. Caleb Douglas comes in here at 6'4", about 205, and everybody will tell you he's the stretch the field guy. So by that definition, and I think his very first career catch, I think was a 62-yard touchdown at the University of Florida. Again, 62-yard reception sound good to you?
Yeah.
We hadn't exactly had a lot of that around here, right?
No.
So I think he had a long catch in the spring game. I think he can get behind the defense. He looks the part. I just think he can flat run. And as I've said before, it's fascinating to me. You're starting to get more and more of these types of guys. Like when I saw Tyree Wilson for the first time, I'm like, yeah, you look like how a 4 or 5 star kid is supposed to look. Okay, the measurable part. Micah Hudson doesn't necessarily do that. He's not a big guy. He's just freakishly talented with his ball skills and quickness and all that, and we'll get to him in a minute. But Caleb Douglas looks like you're supposed to look, like you would think a 4 and 5 star prospect is supposed to look, and like some of the wideouts you've had here before. But Caleb Douglas, that would be one. Micah Hudson, without a doubt. I just think he's the very definition of, when you go buy the brick of black cats and you hang it from the fence, and you just you could unwind them all and kind of, like have fun one at a time or two at a time, where you could twist the fuses together, or you could just say, let's just light the whole damn thing on fire and let's just see how much chaos and noise we can create here. And it'll be maybe 60 to 90 seconds of a whole lot of noise and fun, but that's better than just like pop. Have you ever seen the movie Harlem Nights? Back in the day, and they're trying to get Eddie Murphy in Arsenio Hall, and those guys are trying to shoot in there, and there's the one like security guard going boom, and he's like, stop it with that, and he's got, and Arsenio Hall's got the machine gun. Yeah, Micah Hudson is more of a machine gun. I think I had no idea I was going to go with that analogy, but here we
Love
are.
It. I feel like there's also some type of Big 12 officiating metaphor involved whenever Red Fox is calling the craps table. You blind mother. Yeah, never mind. We don't have to get too deep into Harlem Nights, but it's one of the best.
Come on, sugar. I can see the dice. I've been doing this for 40 years. Yeah. And he's like, get your glasses, man. And then they were like Joe Paterno glasses. Yes,
that's exactly right.
Yeah, Coke bottles.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'd love to go rated R with you with the language that was featured in Harlem Nights, but I feel like we might get in trouble. It's a family show, people. Family show
mostly.
Micah Hudson is the very definition of explosive. I think, is he going to win a 40? No, but everything about him is quick. He understands angles, leverage. His ball skills are unbelievable. He will make people, hopefully a lot in his career, but there'll be several times where you go, wow. And I think we just haven't had that around here. It's been a while where you've had a guy that just legitimately, I think Jakeem Grant, maybe the last person that with the ball in his hands from a skill player standpoint, you went, oh my, I have not seen this before. And I think that Micah Hudson is a slightly bigger, better version of that, which is heavy praise, at least at this stage in their careers. I don't want to put too much on Micah Hudson, but coming into the college space where they are right now, he is better than Jakeem was at that same stage. Now, Micah's still got to go do it at the college level like Jakeem Grant did repeatedly and all those things, and then obviously doing it in the NFL. That is one. I'm going to put this is more of a boring one, but I'd be remiss if I didn't include Josh Kelly on this list, just because I think he's the most well-rounded, explosive player you have, and I think he's proven, and so that's why I put him on this deal, just because I think that he's going to make the routine play all the time. And I think you'll and he's got some juice to him to where it's not just he's not a possession receiver. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but I think that he belongs on this list. And stop me anytime you want, Calvin, if you want to comment or whatever.
I'm agreeing with what you're saying, and if you're mentioning the name Jakeem Grant, then you're scratching me where I itch, because that dude was as fun as anyone to watch, really in a modern era. And I think often about the fact that he was set to go slice and dice Conference USA record books into a million pieces, because you mentioned Tulsa, I think, on a show yesterday. He was headed to Tulsa right before Tommy Maynard got involved.
I think you nailed it. Tommy Maynard,
thank God.
who was growing up in Lubbock when his dad Carlos was coaching, was around Tyrone Thurman, and that's what they really pitched to Jakeem. And he decommitted. And at the time, it didn't really garner a ton of – there wasn't a lot of press with it. It was just like, hey, there's this very smallish player, but he's just lightning. And you just don't know how that's going to translate. And it certainly did.
Translated pretty well.
Absolutely, as a skill player.
And
shockingly so at the next level. That just shows you how good Jakeem really was. Mm-hmm. The next guy I'm going to give you is a bit off the radar.
First, today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Never sweat buying tickets to your favorite events again with Gametime. It's always a breeze using the Gametime app, where you're going to find the best last-minute deals. And I love being able to scout out a view from any seat before pulling the trigger. And of course, it's always at the lowest price, guaranteed. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it begins, which means you can finish off that last beer at the tailgate at your own pace, because Gametime is the place to find last-minute seats to any event. They give you the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets, but not just fast and easy, also secure and simple to use. So right now, download the Gametime app and create an account and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem our promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today for last-minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed.
The next guy I'm going to give you is a bit off the radar. He's a name that a lot of people are going to, and you may even go, who? But this is well sourced. How about that?
Okay.
TJ West. He redshirted last year. He's one of your receivers. In high school, this cat he ran the 100, he ran the 200, he ran the 400, he was on the 800-meter relay. He clocked a 10.7 on the 100 meters. He's the very definition of what James Blanchard and kind of that recruiting to Brian Nance and those folks, when they start to vet how and who we want to recruit, he's just checking boxes all over the place because of his speed and athleticism. And I think that he's going to be of the younger wave of receivers, he's the burner. He of those guys that redshirted last year, he's the guy that is the get behind the defense guy. He can just flat run and very explosive. He's got some guys ahead of him that have been mixed in here, but I think that people have forgotten about that group. But TJ West is the speedster or the most explosive out of that group. Staying along the lines of, there's two other names I want to mention. Well, actually, maybe three. They're all pass catchers, and I feel like I'm just leaning on that too much on the offensive side of the ball. But I'm not going to change what I was told. That this is the way it's going to go. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention Jordan Brown. I think last year he was maybe the only guy that we felt like it was a yards after the catch guy. I mean, Xavier White turned out to be, but Jordan Brown was a guy that we're like, why aren't they throwing it to him more? Why can't we get him in more? I think there's been some injury issues at times. I think he's matured a ton, but I think he's in the mix now to where he's not solely being relied upon to give the team this or that. But I think he deserves to be in this conversation. Dre McCray, if anything, we probably mentioned him a lot last year on this particular show. And I don't know if we saw the reasoning why we included him on last year's show play out last season. However, I don't think we at all anticipated what he would do as a kick returner. And for that reason alone, he belongs on this in this conversation on this list. The last one on offense, John Carlos Miller. I'm not gonna, he is a big wideout playing tight end, and I think that if you're talking about explosive and quick twitch and all these different things, that's who he is. That's why I'm so high on him as a player. And he doesn't have to carry it. He doesn't have to carry the tight end banner himself. So yeah, there's just some fireworks on offense. There's a lengthy list there, and you don't even get into like the Coy Aiken. We don't get into some of the younger receivers. We didn't really get into some some of the running backs, obviously. But that's a fun group to talk about on offense, and this should help Zach Kitley. It should help Baron Morton. It should just help in general because you've got guys that can do something with the ball in their hands when not a lot's there.
I was waiting to hear the name of John Carlos Miller. I was wondering I thought he would have to be on the list. So glad you rounded out with him. If we were considering, before we move on to the other side of the football, if we were considering in an explosiveness in a different kind of way, different kind of variety, in an offensive lineman kind of way or variety, is there anybody comes to mind that seems to be more powerful, more combustible, whatever it might be, even like you said about Taj Brooks, if it's in a phone booth, kind of in a limited amount of space. Have you got any reports on anybody that is just a little bit different than the others in that regard?
People may not like this answer. I think that we all wish that he would have been more, I don't know, more consistent or found a home. But I mean, I think if you're talking explosiveness, I think that the reason why he's been able to be so versatile and still be around and factor in, Caleb Rogers belongs in that conversation. Gotcha. Just because I think he's extremely athletic. Do we wish he would have played tackle better at times or this or that? But I mean, for a big dude, he can go, he can run, I think you can move him inside, outside. I mean, you can do some different things with him, and then all of that speaks to his athleticism. I think Vinny Scurry is. I was going to say, is
he the one that's got the nasty reputation so far, as far as his disposition?
And it's more of a Taj Brooks explosive,ness, like in a more of a phone booth thing, kind of like gonna beat you up, as opposed to like kind of how we were talking about it and framing it here.
Yeah.
So
okay. Cool. I was just curious about that because there's a different kind of explosion, obviously, that happens at the line of scrimmage. So some can fit that bill. Let's flip to the other side of the football and some of those defensive players that you have in mind. How do you kind of frame what an explosive player looks like defensively, and who are those names that come to mind?
Yeah, this is more of a, kind of a well-rounded athlete. Like I think when you talk about explosiveness, because I could easily argue that like Jacob Rodriguez and your Ben Robertses are explosive, but I'm going to go with guys that, and if you had just some freak off the edge, which I don't know if we have determined that yet, I think there's some possibilities there. But I went more of a like kind of the outside linebacker DB hybrid type players here, and again, I'm asking the questions and like this is what I'm getting back from the folks that work with these guys and know them and are around them all the time on just explosiveness. But like a guy that hasn't hit the stage yet, but he's going to is like Marcus Ramon Edwards out of Lubbock. I think he's exactly what you're talking about with, stud basketball player, just was a kind of a do everything footballer, just checks all the boxes. He's I'm trying to remember what we have him listed at, but I want to say he's like 6'2", 215, I think, somewhere around in there. And I think that is somebody that, checks. He's just able to do a variety of different things. They talked about him putting him at star, putting him at one of the safety spots. Do we move him to linebacker? And that speaks to kind of how and this isn't a versatility list per se, but I just think he's got a lot of juice. The other guy that I think has a lot of juice, and in the similar vein of where do we put him, the other guy that I think has a lot of juice, and in the similar vein of where do we put him, and there's been conversations about it, but I just remember when he debuted last year, I'm on the sideline and everybody, all of his teammates, especially the defensive guys, were like, they were just giddy, wanting to watch to see what he would do, because here's the thing. Maybe it was going to be bad. Maybe it was going to be good. Maybe it was going to be, I don't know, somewhere in between. But something was going to happen when Miguel Dingle went out there, just because he has got juice times 10. He is one of the fastest guys for his size on the team. He's done some stuff for Coach Kitley. He's got, and he obviously got hurt last year, and I thought that was a sneaky tough injury that we kind of forgot about last year when he was kind of out of the mix for really the last half of the season and then some. He missed the last 6 to 8 games, I guess it was. Because I was looking to see how could he progress, and I just thought he could have added some of that speed and juice that you needed at times to play the run. And he's just fearless. But
yes, reckless abandon sort of football player, which I love, man.
But as far as explosive, yes, that's who he is. That's why we will talk about him here. I think,
and he's on that list, Chris. Before we move away from him, he's on that list. There's a few of them on the list. They got thrown into the fire last year, and some maybe more than you wanted or anticipated because of their age and inexperience. But he's on that list of guys that I'm really hoping we see that pay some dividends sooner rather than later. He kind of got bumped up on the assembly line, if you will, as far as, maturation as a football player. Guys like the law firm of Chapman, Sanford, and Lewis, also on that list. Dylan Spencer's another guy that I kind of view in a similar way. Guys that were really green behind the ears, but had to play a lot of reps for a variety of reasons. It's kind of like Ben Smith, Ben Roberts. Ben Roberts, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Ben Roberts, who also got thrown in, and then he had to stay there. Now, some of these other guys kind of remained as more rotational dudes, but man, you just think about all the green behind the ear guys that were out there playing a lot of meaningful snaps a season ago, and I hope it's going to start really paying off for them, maybe a little earlier than anticipated.
Two younger names that I'll give you: Macho Stevenson and Devin Cromwell. These are Cromwell just got here, kid from Canada. He's the one, if we remember the story, he's the one that it's like, wait, they don't get a head start like in the CFL, right. and I just got to cover them, but they're standing still when we start. Like, Coach, I got this, man. and I think he's kind of showed up in the weight room, but this was a James Blanchard. Oh yeah, like we like this piece of clay that we can mold. He can run. He's got some size, and I think he's a name that at corner you'll start to hear a bit more. He's a big reason why I think that Coach Yates talked about how much more physical they are at corner than they were last year. Devin Cromwell, a big reason for that statement, in my opinion. But he can flat go too. Yeah. I wish I was there that day when he's like, "Wait, time out, man." So they don't get the running head start at me, and it's like a load has been lifted off this kid. Like, wait, so he's standing still just like I am, dude. If you'd have told me this would have been easy, I'd have moved over here years ago. Because the CFL they go in motion And I think that's what they watch over there, the Winnipeg Bombers and all those teams. And they get a head start. They're running at you already at full speed, and you're standing still. Like you got to try to catch them or do something. And no, when we're both just standing still, I'm good to go, man. So anyway, I just thought I got a big kick out of that story. You've been surprised, I think, and I think maybe I've even surprised myself at how we've talked about this particular player. But I think as we look back on last year and maybe some of the plays that he made that were kind of sneaky or in some cases didn't count. I mean, I think Braylon Lux is, and I mean, everybody I had this conversation with, 2 or 3 months ago, they all would tell you Braylon Lux belongs on kind of a list like this. Who hurt Jason Bean at Kansas? Who had some pick sixes called back that didn't count? Yes, we talked about the one time we got beat by, versus Oregon on a deep ball, just took a misstep, and then Troy Franklin was off to the races. But I think Braylon Lux deserves to be included here because he's maybe one of your most important players on your team, honestly, when I look at it, because he's the one proven corner you've got. He's got a ton of experience. He's also a big reason why, Josh Kelly ended up coming here, just because there was some familiarity there back at their time at Fresno together. So I think Braylon Lux is one of your most important guys on your team, certainly on the defense, but maybe on your team in general. But I think he's got a chance to have a big year. And I just don't know if enough people realize that about him, because he kind of was a semi-starter, but he knocked one of those. He started plenty of games last year, and those older guys and Malik Dunlap and Rashad Williams were having to fight every week, and there was plenty of weeks where one of those guys didn't start. And remember, they came back in tandem to kind of run the thing, and Braylon Lux was like, "Nope, I'm here."
And I apologize. I screwed up the law firm, Sanford, Lewis, and Jordan. I've got to get that muscle back in shape and re-exercise it. That's my fault. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of some years gone by where I really felt like you had some of the explosiveness that I feel like you have going into this year. And we'll see if it comes to fruition. Everything looks great and very fiery on paper, obviously, which is where we're talking, but some things to consider there, and would love to hear from you on anybody that you feel like we might have missed or might have omitted. Chris, does that complete your list?
Yeah, and I mean, you could, for a variety of reasons, you could include. It's just all in the eye of the beholder. This was my version of it. Other people could have. That's the beauty of conversations like this, is that, well, my view of what explosive is different than yours, so my list is going to look different. And it's fun to have a long list, but I tried to include some guys that are going to play, and some guys that are kind of on the way, or they're going to crack the, because I could have talked to you about Dylan Spencer. I think he's got a lot of juice. I could have, what I think about Isaac Smith. We could have really kind of expanded it if we want, but we're limited in time here. And so I just wanted to, that was kind of what I put together. And again, a lot of it was based on conversations that you have and people that are working with these guys on a daily basis and coaching them.
Hope everybody out there has a happy 4th of July. Come back with all your fingers and toes you went in with.
Please.
And make your own call on the apple pie. But please, if you care to sound off on Chris's take, let us know in the YouTube comments how you're feeling about that. Chris, hope you enjoy the holiday, man, and appreciate the time as always.
It's probably not as much anti-apple pie as much as it is pro banana pudding, peach cobbler, strawberry shortcake. I mean, those are
American too.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I probably should have rephrased, but you get my point. But yeah, be safe out there, people. If you're overserved, just be careful. Don't blow anything up that's doesn't belong to you or anything like that. So
if you're overserved, let your child light the firework. I think that's what he's trying to say. Let the kids have some fun too.
No trips to the ER, man. Yeah, let's not make that happen. But hope everybody seriously has a safe one, and all those things. It's a fun day for friends and family and all that kind of stuff, and food, and and the pyro. We love
The
some pyro,
pyro,
man. Yeah. Locked On Texas Tech is definitely pro pyro. So
we are the Pyro Podcast, no doubt.
absolutely, yes.
And try not to burn down any pastures. I still will apologize to my grandfather who's in heaven now. So this is a heavenly apology for that $500 worth of burnt round bells you had to buy once upon a time when a Roman candle was accidentally sent into it. And it wasn't in my hand. It wasn't in my hand. Now I was sort of in the crowd, but
that's when you get
a personal check once upon a time.
That's when you get a Casey. I'm not mad, just disappointed. And
I tell you what, he was surprised at all. He was not surprised.
That's when you,
and this was right outside our fireworks stand. We were supposed to be running instead of being inside of it. We were out doing. I thought we were doing R&D, research and development on these Roman candles. Do they actually work? All of a sudden, round bells are on fire. Yes, they do work. So we were just in the name of quality assurance doing that kind of thing.
I good to know that you've run a fireworks stand before. I've done that multiple times before back in my day, and you feel like you kind of a badge of honor. And like you get people that walk up and they're wanting to spend like it looks like every dollar they have on what you've got, and you're like, save your money. This stuff I'm selling, it's not going to make you happy.
Oh no, I never said that. Oh no, this is quality of life we're talking about here. I used to love when the farmers would roll up with the checkbook. They write a big check, and then in the memo they put farm supplies, which I guess counts.
That is tremendous.
Yeah, every year is a tradition.
Yes.
I am Mr. W Loyal. Shout out to all the Mr. W-ites out there in the audience. Shout out to everybody that's a freedom-loving American. Hope you have a happy 4th of July. Thanks for joining us. As always, get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Do it right now before the holiday in case you do lose any digits. It's going to have to be like a toe-clicking deal to get subscribed, I guess. So go ahead and click subscribe while you got all your fingers to do it with. And we hope to see you back on the other side of the 4th of July, safe and sound, for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.